everyone. It's Elizabeth from Astrology at at.Astrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So today is my take on the June 2023 astrology. As always, you get to choose what you would like to do with these energies. Nothing is predetermined for you. So this is an interesting month, June 2023. We have the influence of a few things in terms of like the tone. So we have obviously the influences of the two luminaries, the moons, which is going to be Sagittarius and Gemini. And these signs are what are called mutable signs. They are flexible. They're able to change their minds. So it's that kind of thing that you're going to have as a base influence. But what's interesting is that we have a lot of Taurus in the chart as well. Taurus, of course, is a fixed sign, and it doesn't like to change things. So these are kind of opposing forces in some ways. But from a positive standpoint, I would say that having something immovable like Taurus, and then something that's constantly changing, Gemini for sure, but Sagittarius is thrown in there too. I think it gives some sense of harnessing changes in a positive way. And if we combine this whole thing of Taurus, Gemini, and Sagittarius, we're really looking at here trade, right? Trade from a standpoint of local trade, as well as foreign trade is in the mix here. Certainly travel is also featured, short-term travel for Gemini and long-term travel for Sagittarius. And of course, Sagittarius rules the law too, as well as publishing. From the standpoint of the law, though, when we mix the Taurus influence there with Sagittarius, I would say this is laying down the law. So we may see a little bit of that too. The other overarching influence, which will go on past June, of course, is going to be Venus, that is in Leo, and Mars is in there too. And the important thing to note here is that both Venus and Mars in Leo in June will be direct. Now, we will have the shadow period happening, but I would say this is a really positive influence for those that are starting relationships. Leo is all about true love. It's about children too. And certainly the creative process, right? And being authentic. So I would say for those folks that start relationships in June, try to aim for being authentic and aim for asking, is this true love? All right. And I've done a video actually on the Venus retrograde, actually the whole Venus period, including the direct. I'll put the link below if you want to look at it. I look at all signs and ascendants. So right off on the 1st, we have Jupiter conjuncting the North Nodes. Recall that the North Nodes are just about ready to leave Taurus. They're around 3 degrees of Taurus. And remember, the nodes go backwards. So as those nodes get close to 0 degrees of Taurus, we know that we are going to have the next sign come into view. And that'll be around mid-July 2023 when the North Nodes go in Aries. But right now, we've got Jupiter in Taurus conjuncting those North Nodes right at the beginning of the month. So this says to me a few things, but it certainly brings a groundedness to our future destiny as a collective. So I expect something will come in here with regards to maybe some guidance. Jupiter at its best can be guidance. Jupiter at its best can be guidance, a teacher, that type of thing, some kind of expert in an area that lends its mentorship to you. Jupiter in Taurus, just as an influence, because now we have Jupiter in Taurus mid-May all the way through a little bit after mid-May 2024. And I think this is a lovely influence here. I see this really as a consolidation of what we are to grow into. that's what I really remember. Jupiter is all about growth. It's also about illuminating. It can bring in benefits for us as well. But I really felt that the growth part of this, because Taurus, of course, is all about growing things, building things, I really saw this whole time period of Jupiter and Taurus being a consolidation of what we're going to grow into. So that influence over the next year or so with Jupiter and Taurus will be in that direction. So our first illumination is going to be a full moon in Sagittarius, and that will be on the 3rd of June. It's at 13 Sagittarius, 18 minutes, and we know at every full moon, we have the sun in the opposite sign at 13 Gemini, 18 minutes. It'll occur at 8:43 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And what we look at next is the ruler. So the ruler of Sagittarius, of course, is Jupiter. And Jupiter has just gone into Taurus. And we know that at this full moon, Jupiter in Taurus is still conjunct that north node in Taurus too. Now, what's interesting is that whole configuration of Jupiter conjuncting the north nodes at this full moon in Sagittarius will square Pluto, which is at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So this can have some challenges. You know, squares are about challenges. And again, we go back to what I said at the beginning, that Jupiter wants to grow in Taurus. And in many areas, including real estate, food production, that sort of thing, as well as something to do with our money too. And so there's just some challenges here. Certainly if you have something, say, around, let's just say the 0 to 3 degree mark of either Taurus or Aquarius here, that square will be affecting you directly, and it may present some challenges to you with regards to you wanting to move ahead and grow something. Now, as I always say with squares gives us opportunities too. We don't want everything flowing freely all the time, because then we don't put the effort into it. So squares require us to put some effort. Is that such a bad thing? I don't think so. And, you know, both Jupiter and Taurus are relatively supporting, building types of energies, right? The other thing that we have, of course, is Mercury will be conjuncting Uranus. And I really saw this as sort of, with Mercury being the mind, as well as communications, but here I really saw an association with original, unique ideas. So certainly if you've got a time period where you're trying to develop unique, original ideas in whatever it is, let's just say art, or something like that, or maybe even in some form of gardening, because Taurus rules that too, right? I would say this is a good full moon to maybe make some announcements with regards to some original thinking that you've been doing. You may get some real support here for that with this conjunction. Surprising, unexpected support maybe too. You may also have, if you've got this aspect here, you may also have some surprising announcements to make. That may occur here too. Now, we have Venus that is in Cancer at 28 degrees. So we know that that's going to be opposite Pluto, even though Pluto is still in, technically, Aquarius going retrograde at 0 degrees. It's close enough in orb that we're going to say that Venus is opposite Pluto. And so these are karmic attractions. And so I would say that for those folks that feel a love relation has come in that feels fated, that's what this aspect brings in for you. Karmic attractions. I guess just give it some time to develop, certainly with the Venus retrograde going to be happening officially mid-July. You know, take the long view of it may very well be a karmic, fated, positive relationship. But maybe take the summertime period to look at it carefully with the Venus retrograde. So certainly Jupiter ruling this sign of Sagittarius emphasizes things like foreign connections, foreign people, foreign countries, also travel. So I got the impression here of certainly those types of things will be coming to some kind of culmination. If you have something around the 13-degree mark of Sagittarius, like an ascendant or a sun, this could definitely be a time of endings or culminations for you. Maybe you're ending a trip. That's very Sagittarius, especially a foreign trip overseas. Maybe some legal matter is tied up. That's positive for you. Publishing is also another big thing with regards to Sagittarius. So there may be some folks that have this degree, 13, 14 degrees of Sagittarius and or Gemini, that are actually publishing something. And that might be tied in for some folks with what I spoke about earlier, that whole Mercury conjunct Uranus, right? With original thinking, original ideas. Right, so from the 9th to the 13th of June, we have Jupiter at 5 degrees of Taurus. Now this is a heads up for you, because this is the degree point that we will have our final eclipse that will be in Taurus, and that'll be on the 28th of October 2023. And so there will be something that comes up between the 9th and the 13th, more from a global perspective. But if you've got something around the 5-degree Taurus mark or a 5-degree Scorpio, there may be something that comes to light for you. Jupiter may shine a big light for you on some area of your life that will come to some kind of culmination or conclusion at that eclipse on the 28th of October. So pay attention to what comes up at this time. As I said, Jupiter is all about all things foreign. It's travel. It's also the sign of the teacher, too. So all these things may be in the mix here during this time period. It could play out something as simple as somebody, taking their final boards for being literally a teacher. And that on the 28th of October or around that time period, that door closes and this person's an official teacher. It can also be an advisor, too. And especially as it's connected with Taurus, it can be a financial advisor, too. Now, the other thing that could happen at this time is literally an advisor of some sort to do with money or even foodstuffs and any kind of food growing, that type of thing. This could have somebody come forward that suggests a change. It can be a change in the money markets too. But I would say it's going to be probably someone that comes forward to introduce something at this time. And we know if we listen even a little bit to the news or read anything, that sort of thing is going on behind the scenes. But this is more an official type of thing that won't really come to some kind of fruition until that end of October this year, where there'll be a culmination point of some sort. Now, Jupiter as an influence, too, can increase things, right? So this could increase inflation as well. That might be another thing that comes forward around this time, 19th to 13th of June, but that maybe wanes off at the eclipse, where we see the end of something, a culmination of the ending of it. So on the 12th of June, Pluto retrograde will dip back into Capricorn at 29 degrees. And so this could just have some, vestiges of the old guard wanting to still exert its effects of some sort and pulling a power play or trying to pull a power play. But because Pluto is retrograde, it will not take full effect here for sure. It can be those in power working behind the scenes too, right, where we don't see it. All right, so on the 17th of June, we have a new moon in Gemini. So Happy New Year to all my Gemini viewers. And Happy New Year to my daughter. This will be at 26 Gemini of 43 minutes. And of course, we know the moon and the sun will be together at this time. It's at 9:38 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and the ruler of Gemini, of course, is Mercury. And where is Mercury? Mercury is going to be sextile Venus in Leo. So this puts kind of a real nice spin on things. I would say royalty is going to be highlighted again, maybe with some messages of some sort or opportunities. It certainly speaks to love, generally speaking, love messages coming in here. Yeah, we've got this whole Leo thing starting to play out as well around this new moon in Gemini in a very beautiful way, right? Mercury is in Gemini at this time, so this is another positive influence for this new moon. When we look at Gemini, we are talking about, short distance travels, trade and commerce, that type of thing, siblings, and, early education or short courses are also indicated, and writing of any sort. So certainly this new moon, if you've got these, anything aspecting around this, say, 26-degree mark of Gemini, this could be a whole new beginning for some folks with regards to maybe a writing project of some sort. We will have Saturn retrograde at 7 degrees of Pisces till the 4th of November, right? Starting at this time. And Pluto will widely square the north nodes at 2 degrees of Taurus. And so there may be some challenges with regards to some people in power accepting the fact that we're moving on. That Pluto is going to go into Aquarius on a permanent basis for 20 years coming up pretty soon. It won't officially really get in there to 2025, but it's going to be in Aquarius enough in 2024 to exert quite an effect, quite a positive effect, especially on the collective, having things be more fair. Jupiter will be sextiling a retrograde Saturn. I don't see this as a negative thing. I see this as a time to potentially rewrite some of the rules. And if we bring it up to a collective level, this could be rewriting some of the rules with regards to foreign people and foreign nations. So this may translate into any immigrants, that type of thing may have to be reconsidered. The rules may have to be reconsidered with that respect, right? Venus will widely conjunct Mars in Leo. They never really conjunct completely, but hey, they're dancing around there very nicely in June. And so I really thought June was going to be, especially around this new moon, just a delightful time to start a relationship, to even develop friendships, to get into any kind of creative projects. Very much favored here in June, especially at the new moon. So if that's something that you want to initiate, maybe pick this new moon just afterwards, maybe a day or two after the 17th to pull the trigger. But you can always, fit the details in the background to start off with and then make the announcements just after the new moon. But it really does support a lot of communication, positive communication, sales and commerce, and any kind of writing projects. And then with that whole Venus and Mars dance in Leo. It also, children are very involved with Leo too. So there could be some folks that have some very positive interactions with their children. But love, I think, is really at the forefront here because, of course, Venus is involved and Mars, and these are viewed as the celestial lovers. But more on that later in July, August, and September, and even October, because Venus stays in Leo that long. Again, Happy New Year to all my Gemini clients and viewers. Okay, we have also in June, of course, we have the Sun will be ingressing into Cancer, and that will be indicating our summer solstice, right? That's when the Sun goes to 0 degrees of Cancer. It will be at 7:58 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And Saturn will be retrograde at 7 degrees of Pisces. The Sun will sextile the north nodes. That's beautiful. The Moon will be in Leo, so we've got Leo accented again at 8 degrees, along with Venus and Mars in Leo. So you can see really like the latter part of June, especially around the summer solstice, has another big influences of Leo here. And don't forget that Leo asks us to be our authentic self, right? So at its core, this is a time for us to express who we really are. And maybe some of us will be expressing who we are on the stage, literally on the stage, if not metaphorically on the stage of life. So there may be some people that come into some element of fame around this time as well. And I'm talking about really the whole month of June, and actually even further than that, but I'm just going to focus on this month in this video. Let's see what else we've got happening. We have Mars sextiling Chiron nicely, and Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus, right? That's a good one too. And of course, you know, Uranus, we haven't talked about Uranus being in Taurus too, but Uranus, of course, is bringing in unexpected things at this time. Uranus will be at 21 degrees at this solstice time period. And that 21 degrees is an important degree for next year, which will be in April 2024, when Uranus at 21 degrees of Taurus conjuncts with Jupiter. And that I will talk about later, but certainly a very important time. So there may be something happen if you've got, say, some important point in your chart, like a sun, an ascendant, maybe a moon, or a conglomeration of planets around 21 degrees of Taurus. Watch what happens here around the solstice, and watch what happens, because there may be some significant, unexpected event that happens next year in April 2024 for you. But that certainly, for most of us, will be a once-in-a-lifetime event when we talk about April 2024 with that conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus. And I see it as a very positive thing. And of course, Pluto will still be retrograde at the summer solstice at 29 degrees of Capricorn. All right, so just give you a little peek into July 2023. We have a full moon in Capricorn, a new moon in Cancer, and the north nodes significantly will go into Aries. And of course, they start at 29 degrees at the end of the sign. And that'll be on the 18th of July. We have Venus going retrograde officially in Leo at 28 degrees of Leo, and Mercury will go into Leo. All right, next I am going to go into each of your sun and or ascendant signs next. So Scorpio, that full moon in Sagittarius, is going to be in your second house. And so the second house really speaks to the income that you earn, your values, your possessions, that type of thing. So there could be some wrap up where you may decide you want to end some source of income, and typically that means ending maybe a job that you're doing. It may be associated with, there may be a foreign connection associated with this. Or you could also see a time period when you're consolidating. I'm getting this feeling of consolidating your possessions, and you decide to maybe sell some of your possessions so that you can move on to something different with regards to where you are earning your income. Now, the new moon in Gemini for you, Scorpio, is going to be in the 8th house. And the nice thing about this is that the 8th house is naturally ruled by you, Scorpio. And so this is a benefit. And you're going to have Mercury here too. So for some Scorpios, there may be some behind the scenes communications that are important for you. Now, the 8th house does rule inheritances. So certainly there's going to be some Scorpios that inherit at this time. But it's also, shared resources as well. So it could be that, again, I'm getting this feeling of some kind of consolidation, but also a new start with regards to maybe investing. You may get some opportunities to invest here that are working kind of behind the scenes, but that are positive for you. So I guess watch, Scorpio, for any communications that come in with regards to investing. I'm getting that as a kind of a clear message here for at least some Scorpios. I mean, the other thing that the 8th house does represent, of course, is more serious, deep relationships. So it could be for other Scorpios, you take a relationship to the next level. And with the Gemini influences of communication, that you communicate that to folks, that you are now official, or that this is a serious relationship for you. That could also be happening around that new moon. I see it as a very supportive new moon, generally speaking. So the whole Venus-Mars in Leo squares your sign in the 10th house, Scorpio. So I would say that you may have some challenges with regards to relationships. I think it might be as simple as that. And because it's the 10th house, it might be that you're having to put so much extra work into the job that you're doing that your relationships are suffering a little bit. I would say just do your best. Do the job. Maybe you're required to work hard at this time. We just have some times when we have to do that, right? And do your best to explain why you're working so hard, and then allow some time here to enjoy those people that you love. But certainly your career will be focused here with regards to having to really put your shoulder into your work at this time. All right, Scorpio, take care. Okay, folks, that wraps up my June 2023 astrology. As always, I'm always interested to hear from you. I think this is going to be a very, just a really exciting month love-wise, and also fame too. So, we're talking about this Leo influence, which is so predominant, not only in June, but because everything is moving forward. The planets in Leo are moving forward and they're not retrograde. It's a little bit of a better month with regards to positive results from potentially fame and love and creativity. These are big things that are ruled by Leo. And of course, children too. So enjoy what you can enjoy. And for those that are coming to some level of fame with that Leo, I'm wishing you all the best and congratulations. All right, folks, I am going to see you next month. Please take good care of yourself. I'm always interested in hearing from you. And I'm going to wish you all the best in that month of June, especially with regards to true love. That's really at the heart of Leo. They just want to have true love. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.